Hey guys, it's Gail with Everything Nash here with the fantabulous Baylee Littrell. I'm so excited. We have never talked before, I don't think. Anyway, I'm glad we get to talk about the things we get to talk about.
Man, I'm excited. I'm really
Um,
excited.
okay, the first thing we have to talk about, we have a lot to talk about. Hey Jesus, what a great song. Give me the story behind it.
So, Hey Jesus, I wrote about 3 years ago, going through tough times with my faith in life, kind of doubting a lot. I experienced a lot of loss that year, in my life from people, to relationships to everything in between. And it really made me question, um, my faith for the first time in my life. I feel like a lot of people get hit with that. You know, you're raised in faith if you are. And at a certain point, it's your decision as an adult to keep going and put that trust in for yourself to keep going in faith and not having someone else there to guide you. And that was kind of like that first point in my life where I was really questioning what I was going to do. Um, I didn't feel guided, in my faith. So it was really hard to figure it out. And I ended up writing this song, and it just again reminded me of putting my trust in Jesus. It was like this moment where I thought, wow, all the mistakes, all the imperfections, all the moments of doubt, all the moments of pain and anger, and all this stuff goes into the song. And afterwards, I felt so rejuvenated. It helped my faith, it helped my journey. Um, it made me again feel so much confliction in my life and change a lot of things that I was doing or going through. Um, but that's just a part of it. And it was a big slap in the face in the best way possible. Like writing that song was me coming back to God and finding him and realizing he had never left. I was the one that left. So it was one of the coolest things. And I never knew I was gonna have the chance to release this. I that wasn't really in the cards. Then I started playing it at shows just locally around town, and then all of a sudden it just came about, and it was time. So I mean, thank goodness for that second round of American Idol because otherwise I never know if it would have really come out. So it's a crazy day.
Okay, so let's talk about American Idol, which I want to talk about that specifically. But you performed this song on American Idol. Talk about that decision.
That decision was also kind of unexpected. I got to that second round. And previously on the first like initial episode, I had sang an original song. And so I was going to keep that train going as long as I could for, exposure and promoting just my songwriting ability, stuff like that. And my mom came to me and she said, "Why don't you, you know, sing Hey Jesus?" And I was afraid to ruffle feathers. Was going through all this stuff, and she's like, "Now's the time to ruffle some feathers if you want to." She's like, "This is one of those opportunities where, like, this is a song that people need to hear." You know, we weren't sure. I wasn't sure I was even getting through that next round, so I had this thing where I was like, "Well, if I'm going out, I'm gonna go out with a bang. Like, I want people to hear this song, and I want it to be spread." And so then it just kind of happened that way. Like I was terrified. I haven't been terrified in a long time, up on a stage, and I was absolutely petrified. And I got up there and I sang that song and I was calm. And it was the most high pressure situation, everybody judging you. And in that moment, I was at peace, and it was probably one of the most spectacular feelings. I knew then I was like, even if this doesn't make the episode, doesn't air, I knew I was at that point at peace with it, and I just had a good moment. And I looked around the room, and we were all just kind of worshiping together, and it was this moment where I was like, wow, in a room full of a lot of pride this past week, a lot of egos, a lot of stress, like all of it just was out of the air for a minute. And we all remembered who we belonged to. And that's the one cool thing that I want people to keep remembering. So it was so impactful, and I was at that point, I was like, all right, this is coming out. We got to release this. And so we've been just dying to release this for the last 2 months, and then now finally here's the time. So again, I'm blown away.
Um, I love that. And I love that American Idol was so welcoming of Christian faith this season, maybe more than other seasons. I didn't watch it as much other seasons, but it just felt like it was such a great platform for artists like yourself.
I agree. I was shocked too because, I had a lot of fellow contestants too that they got up there and sing worship songs, and it was such a shocker because, you go into it, um, and you're in Hollywood, you're in California. It's like the last place you would think you would find light and Christian music like in a moment like that. And then we kind of brought it. And so that's what I loved. They said, a lot of people even like behind the scenes, our producers and even our crew, they say, guys, this season is different. And they just said this is something we haven't seen in a long time. And it was like a relief to a lot of people. And they loved seeing just a moment of faith being shown. Um, and the voices that were used too, like Brianna, they were just powerful and it sent a message and it was, I mean, everybody just had this moment of faith and I felt like we all had strength in that. And that was the best part of the show by far.
Can you take me to, I'm always fascinated by the audition process and what an artist feels like. I mean, I've never auditioned for anything like American Idol.
Mm,
Take me to that moment when you went out there and you auditioned and you're putting yourself out there to the world.
sorry, this is loud. Um, the audition process is crazy. It's from what we were told during Hollywood Week, over 120,000 people auditioned. And it's an audition process that just starts with like a Zoom interview or an audition over the phone, or it's in-person auditions just to get on the first episode of the show to audition again. So I mean, it's a lot. And it's not like kind of shown that way. So it was like, they told us when we got to the round of 40, it was like, we want you guys to know how, amazing it is to get here. And everyone rolled their eyes and they were like, and we knew you'd do that. And Lionel's like, 120,000 of you tried out for this season. He's like, so if you're bummed about, you know, if we let you go today or next week or whenever, he's like, you should not be upset. And that like lifted everyone's spirits in the room because everyone was getting burnout around this time because everyone was so tired. And then when you keep going, it just puts it into perspective even more. You're like, wow. Um, but the audition process is kind of scary. You get on a Zoom and you have a billion producers on the phone, and everyone's just kind of like, you've got that big window of people, and you sing a song, and then they're like, all right, sing us another song. And then you sing another song, and then they're like, they either say yes or no. And so they were like, okay, we'll see you in Nashville. And they just assign you the place that you go to. So it was like New York, Nashville, or LA. And so it was funny because I would meet some people that were sent to New York and they were as close to Nashville as I was, or the same with LA, and we would just all come together and we're like, "Where did you audition?" And it was so cool. That was one of my favorite things too, was like the random assignments, getting there, and then you kind of had like your own class, and it was like the Nashville class, the New York class, and the LA class, and really we were just transplants from everywhere, but it was where they sent us. And so when we came in, like we all just kind of like meshed off of that, which was really cool.
And I
Um,
love about a show like American Idol, people know your last name, but that last name isn't going to do you anything.
yeah, it hurt me a lot. It definitely helped from the production side because I really didn't want it to be monopolized, and it still like really was. But on the opposite side of things, I mean, it was so tough to find people to talk to because you get there and everyone rolls their eyes and they're like, "Oh, it's you," and I'm like, "Y'all, I'm here just like you guys trying to make it." And there's so many comments, and it's why doesn't your dad get you a record deal, or why don't you have a record deal, or why don't you? And I'm like, why do you think? Like it works opposite of how people think. So I'm like, a lot of my responses to people are like, I'm here just like you, trying to get the same opportunity because it's equally as hard for me. And so it's like it was tough. Some doors obviously open, but they close a lot faster.
Mm.
So it's tough. It's been really tough. So that's another reason that this was a desperation to keep going. And I was finding myself just kind of stuck in a rut,
Mm.
and stagnant. It's been since, like COVID year, pretty much since I've had, remote commercial success. So it's been a big fight to get back.
Now,
And
with Hey Jesus, are you putting your flag in as a Christian artist, or what's your future in music, my friend?
um I wouldn't officially say I'm putting like that stamp down. I would say that this is the first step, but there's probably another worship song or two that I will release, which I'm excited about. Um, but at the same time, I'm still just, writing um, singer-songwriter stuff, a little bit of indie stuff, a lot of acoustic music with kind of like some folk elements to it. But I kind of still want to show people, um, again, the imperfect side. So I want to be able to come in and release songs that I love about Jesus, but not just strictly do Christian music because to tell you the truth, those songs, writing those come few and far between.
Mm.
And when they do, they're special. And it's just kind of like, I mean, I don't write a whole lot of Christian songs. And when that comes, I don't take it lightly. So it's just kind of like, okay, I think you want me to release this, so I'm going to do that. And we've got one more that I wrote right before the election, that I'm thinking about releasing too, just with all the division in the world. I was like, all right, at least for our country, we need to hear this. So I've got another one that we'll probably cut and record pretty soon, but Hey Jesus was first, and it's the exciting one. I told my mom today on the phone. I called her and we were talking about just the release, and I just said, it's so crazy that out of all this time doing music or even the American Idol stuff or Broadway when I was younger, like the biggest accomplishment today was waking up knowing that I had a Christian song out and my dad has a Christian album out.
Mm.
And it was one of the coolest things. So it was just, I don't know. It's like legacy right there to me. Like that's the real legacy. So I
Hmm.
love it.
It's not the legacy people would expect, but I
Right.
love it. Last question, I have to let you go. Where are we with an album coming out?
So we're about halfway through that process right now. And I'm trying to cut some more songs, get some more like full production stuff because I have a lot of intimate acoustic songs that have a lot of the same production elements as Hey Jesus. It's very raw and just unfiltered. And like our take of Hey Jesus was two takes, and it was just that, and we kind of ran with it. So it's like a lot of raw stuff that I'm excited for people to hear. But now the process is getting those full production songs in this summer to try to get that stretch for the fall. So I'm excited. So I'm still shooting for this year to have a record out, at least by the end of it, but there'll definitely be more songs this year.
Okay. Well, when you're ready to release more, we'll talk again.
I love that.
Good to see you, my friend. Thank you, Bailey.
Of course, thank you so much.